So she's never really sat in this chair before. Well, she sat in this chair to check sound levels and also just kind of give me somebody to bounce stuff off of while Dre is working on the, well, it's the ones and the twos, as Lindsay likes to say. Matison LeBlanc joins us. And we won't call her Matison with a T because Matison LeBlanc is an accomplished director. She is a graduate of SCAD. She is an accomplished painter, a gifted artist all around who fell deeply in love with movies while she was there, although I have a feeling she always liked movies to some degree, just didn't realize she had an affinity for it. I have seen Ada and the Doc. I've seen that short, and it is remarkable. You would not be surprised after you saw it to know that she's done 2 internships at Cannes. She is also a resident of the state of Louisiana, and I did that all with no notes. Good morning to you, Matison LeBlanc.
Good morning, Jimmy Mack. It's nice to be on this side of the desk.
Yeah. We wanted to give you the opportunity, by the way, because we want people to understand that along with Dre and his multiple talents, the kind of quality people we have here, and how excited we are for you about this project you've been working for. You brought some friends along with you, too.
I sure
and
have.
I would love you to do the honor of introducing them.
Of course. So to my left, we have Miss Grace Pritchard. Before I get into the individual introductions, I want to say that we are starting a production company. So these are my business partners and also my best friends. And they all helped me create the short proof of concept, Ada and the Doc. So like I said, to my left, we have Miss Grace Pritchard, who helped produce the short. She is originally from Arkansas.
Yes,
Arkansas.
ma'am.
And then across from me, I have Mr. Jacob Denton, who also helped me produce the short. He is originally from Houston, Texas. And then on the phone, because he unfortunately had to fly out back home to Atlanta yesterday, is Mr. Bailey Selvidge, and he is originally from Florida. I'm originally from Morgan City, Louisiana. And so I now reside here in New Orleans. Grace and Jacob reside in New York, and Bailey resides in Atlanta, Georgia.
Good morning to all of you
Good
guys,
morning.
by the way.
Thanks
So,
for having us.
so before we get into your project, by the way, we've been talking all morning long, setting up the fact that after a whole bunch of trucking conversation, we thought we would jump in and have a conversation with Jane Jezraoui on The Future Was Yesterday about do any movies successfully predict the future in their science fiction conceptions. A lot of things were kind of decided upon. We kind of had this crazy thing in regards to storytelling and the cleanliness of its organization that Back to the Future is kind of the gold standard. Let me kind of set the rules for you guys, because I think Ada and the Doc actually follow these rules in different ways. In regards to any sort of travel movie, transportation has to be kind of its own character, meaning the principal vehicle of transport, that's Jane's idea, has to have its own character. The Millennium Falcon, the big rig from Mad Max, the Nostromo, of course, from Alien. These are all characters in their own right.
Totally.
Okay. The geography of space has to be clearly defined, and we'll use Back to the Future again. By the time that movie's over with, you know exactly how that town square is laid out. You know how the entire town is laid out. You know how far he has to run from the school to get back to the town square, what it's going to take to get to 88 miles an hour, and on we go. We have to know the method of transportation. That goes back to the vehicle itself. The DeLorean from Back to the Future, the Millennium Falcon, once again. We might not know all the particulars, but when it breaks, we know what's wrong. They might give it some kind of bizarre name, but we know the exhaust is screwed up, or we know the ducts, the heating ducts are a mess. And then finally, we have to know the risks, meaning once you've established that geography, we have to know what is in the way, the asteroid field, the bullies, whoever it is, that will stop us from getting where we are. So given that, and then we'll pivot.
Pivot.
Thank you very much. A little shout out to Lindsay there. We'll then pivot to Ada and the Doc and your production company. So I'm going to ask you, Matison, first to buy Grace and Jacob. And by the way, good morning to you, Bailey, out there in the in the ether. How are you?
Good morning. Good morning. I'm doing great. Thank you all so much for having me. I'm very, very excited to be a part of this morning.
Hey,
See,
Bailey.
We don't forget anybody around here. Okay, we'll start with you, Matison. It can be really short. You haven't got to have an exegesis on it, or you can.
Okay.
But what is it?
What is it?
What is the sci-fi movie that does the best with travel and transportation?
I would have to say Mad Max Fury Road.
Yeah, and by the way, that was part of the earlier conversation, too. We were saying about in the original movie Road Warrior, he has that great line. 2 days ago, I saw a vehicle that could hold that tanker. You want to get out of here? You talk to me. And in one line, we got it.
Yep.
And at the end of Mad Max, at the end of Fury Road, what's that great line? between us and them, maybe there's some sort of redemption, and then they just take off on a straight line,
Yeah.
right back to the water. Okay, go ahead, Grace.
Well, I think you guys all mentioned really good ones. The only one that I was thinking of is Alien. They don't have as a defined rules, but you still know how long.
Oh, it's great.
Yeah, they still all have their laws and their rules about how that universe takes place and how they need to get where they're going. And also the mode of transportation becomes a big issue on the first or almost every movie because the ship breaks and then they're stuck with the aliens and they got to figure out how to fix it. And how long it's going to take to get home.
They get woken up early, as a matter of fact, in the first when they're in cryo sleep, and they get woken up early on their way back to Earth. It's a 5-month journey back to Earth, and when the movie ends, she has to go back to sleep. Go ahead.
I just thought of one, and I think I would like to change my answer.
Change your answer.
I think Interstellar. That was crazy because I remember like them being in the ship and like the things breaking and the years passing and like all of that stuff, like the sense. Although like the aesthetics of Mad Max are so good, I felt the severe like tension of your vessel breaking in Interstellar.
Well, Nolan, who I know you love as a
I
filmmaker,
do.
both Inception and equally important Tenet.
Yes.
Without his clear sense of geography, we would be so lost in those movies we'd have
Absolutely.
no idea where we are.
Yeah.
And it's so important to him that it's like, I am here, I have to get to there. These are the things in my way that I have to get out of the way. You ever notice that movies like this also have a lot of chalkboards? Or a lot of
Gotta lay it out for you.
Yeah, PowerPoint presentations like, here's what we're going to kind of explain. And when Nolan explains that, he's like, oh, I can explain Tenet in absolute order. He writes out the order and then starts showing you where he moved everything to kind of do that. Jacob, take it away.
Yeah, I'm a big Star Wars fan, so Millennium Falcon, but even the Death Star is a vehicle that they kind of send around, the TIE fighters, but I think inside and outside, like the aesthetics of ships can say so much about a character and the characters inside of them too.
Oh my God, yeah, because that's a really great point. Anybody who remembers Star Wars, all of those guys, their helmets have their stickers on them.
Yeah.
They're all individually, and people always forget too, the Death Star is moving as well in that battle, that it's minutes from actually having Yavin in its sights. So it's two journeys. It's the journey through the trench, but it's also the journey of the planet making its way across. Good get. Bailey, you're the last one. You're on the spot. What is it?
Come on, Bailey.
I'm on the spot. I love that. I just as a fun concept to kind of throw a wrench in this, like, aren't Transformers both vehicles and characters?
Yeah, you got it.
Yeah,
Very funny one.
and by the way, we talked about that, but go ahead.
Well, and then not as much sci-fi, but I love, all genres. One of my favorite vehicles, maybe this is a bit of a cheat, but the Taxi and Taxi Driver that De Niro's character drives around, that's like his headspace, and it's his worldview, and without those shots and that vehicle being the kind of device that brings the whole film together, none of that really works. And yeah, I don't know. Maybe that's not a sci-fi answer, but I like the Transformers idea.
Well, there are two things. First of all, with Taxi Driver, what makes perfect sense is while the cab itself is not a character outside of the interior mind of Travis Bickle, we actually go back and watch that film again and put the acting, the editing, and everything else out of your mind and watch how the movement of the cab, it's the same thing he does in his other movie, After Hours, actually develops the geography of New York. He gives us a very specific, very awful Times Square, drug-induced, worst neighborhoods in Manhattan of New York. So it's a great get. As far as Transformers, my problem with Transformers is the fact that they don't go anywhere. They just turn into these things and blow things sky high.
They go to the moon. They go to the dark side of the moon.
Yeah, I get that, but it's like I never know where everything is. It's just Michael Bay. I'm gonna blow things up real good. That's okay. That's okay. All right, so everybody's got their vote in, and I'm sure we're going to get some comments on our YouTube channel as well. Guys, by the way, Battlestar Galactica, the television show in particular, does a really terrific job. Big thanks to Trucker Bosun. I don't know if you guys heard this earlier. Our good friend Ten Ring actually wrote the best truck driving female in any entertainment is Leela from Futurama. Genuine. She's a truck driver.
She is.
She's a truck driver, straight up. Does a great job. Okay, so let's talk about Ada and the Doc and proof of concept, and then we'll talk about Jimbo. What's going on? So tell us about Ada and the Doc.
Okay, so Ada and the Doc is right now it exists as a proof of concept short film and as a feature-length film. So for those of you who are unfamiliar with the pipeline of an independent film, you create something called a proof of concept. So it's usually like a short or scenes from the feature that are much cheaper to create. And you take that to your investors and to festivals to prove to people that this is what we want to do, but on a larger scale. So from a financial standpoint, our proof of concept short film cost $25,000 to make. Our feature film is probably going to cost about $5 million. So 15 minutes for $25,000. Movies are expensive.
Is that with the marketing budget or without?
In totality.
Okay, the totality.
in
That's
totality.
important to point out because people don't know this. The Conjuring cost $12 million. Only $4 million of it was spent making the movie.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Same with
You
the
know.
Nora. Like their marketing budget was like way more than what it
Oh,
actually
yeah.
cost to make the thing.
A lot of people don't understand that. When you get that, why does this movie cost so much to make? I don't know, because you got to run advertising campaigns around the entire
People got to
planet.
know about it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you guys, I told this to Madison, the story of the first Conjuring was that James Wan sat there in terror because he had no idea how they were going to respond. And the three heads of the studio that were there, one of them got up 10 minutes in and left.
Oh.
And he thought, oh, no, after the Annabelle opening. And he thought, oh, no. And then 10 minutes later, he walked back in. He was the one that ran marketing with two kids. They sat in front of Juan, and he said, you guys stick to him like glue. You just got yourself a $12 million marketing budget on this movie you made. That
Yeah.
It means everything.
It
So
does.
5 big ones is the whole enchilada and the burrito on the side. right?
Correct.
Go on, please. Sorry.
Yeah. So I'm originally from Morgan City, Louisiana. I was going into my junior year at the Savannah College of Art and Design. I was home for the summer, and I had a summer job at the Morgan City Public Library. While I was there, my boss, who was also head of the archives, came in with this old black tattered medical bag full of equipment, and I'm digging around in it, looking at all the old vials and stuff, and he says, you know you're touching the bag of a murderer, right? And I said, what are you talking about? And he said, you don't know the story of Ada and the Doc? And I was like, no, I've never heard of it. So there's only one book that's ever been written about it, and it's out of print. You can't get it anymore unless you feel like paying like hundreds of dollars on eBay for it. He gave me his personal copy because his great-grandfather was one of the trappers who found the dead body in the story back in 1927. So he had his own personal copy. I read the book, and I was absolutely blown away, especially because I had lived in Morgan City my entire life, and I had never heard of this story. And that's just proof of how good they were at keeping it under wraps because it was so taboo. And even 100 years later, we still face a little bit of that as we go into making this film. So I took a feature screenwriting course my next semester at SCAD, and this is what I based that feature on. And so I wrote the feature, and I went into my senior year, and I had to make my my senior thesis film. So it's basically you work your entire senior year on one film, and that's your requirement to graduate. And so many times I had seen seniors create films, and then they would graduate, and then they would die. Like they would do absolutely nothing with it. And I'm
The
like,
film,
the
not
film.
the
film
scene.
not the
would
person.
die. They would go
the
on.
film
That's
would
a
die.
really
The
great idea
people would
for a
live.
horror movie, isn't it? Everybody that has made their senior thesis is now dead.
They are
Go
all dead.
on, please.
Yes. So I was like, I want to do something with longevity, for like the resources you have access to while you're at SCAD. It's like you only get that once. Once you graduate, it's gone. So I was like, let me make something that'll extend beyond school. And so I was like, let me make a proof of concept for this feature because I know that I want this to be my first feature as a director. And so the beautiful people here with me today helped make that happen. We've recently been seeing a lot of success from the short, which is really awesome. And so we're building on that momentum to create our first feature film together.
Very, very cool. Grace, I pivot to you.
Yes.
Say it.
Pivot.
Thank you very much. Shout out to Lindsay. Grace, tell us a little bit about what your involvement is. We know that our friend Madison here is the director. What do you do?
Yeah, so I'm one of the producers on the project. I came in during the second unit of filming, so after the Louisiana unit, they came back to Georgia, and we shot like 3 more units, and I was there to help out. And then they're actually a year ahead of me, Jacob, Bailey, and Madison. And so I was finishing my degree at SCAD while they were kind of fleshing out more of the feature film, and then we got into Cannes. And ever since then, like she said, it's kind of been a roller coaster ride of momentum. And so we're just trying to keep that pushing. And we've got a lot of great reception, especially in the Louisiana area. It's a very near and dear story to the culture and the history.
Yeah. Do you want to? I don't think I actually.
Yeah,
said
I don't
what
think
the
you
story was
did.
about. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Take it away.
So Ada and the Doc is a true story about a sex murder trial that took place in Morgan City, but was tried in Franklin. And it's about Ada LeBoeuf, who was accused of murdering her husband. It's a great tale to show like the morals of the time in the 1920s when it took place. and how small town gossip can lead to death and
A conviction on circumstantial evidence.
Yes,
Correct.
yes. There was little to no evidence. It was such a rushed trial as well. A bunch of evidence came out years after.
We know it. You're guilty.
Mm-hmm.
It was a
we decided.
national phenomenon.
Yes.
People that flocked to the cities outnumbered the residents. It was insane. And we forgot to mention there's an affair that also takes place with the local town doctor, Dr. Dreher, which
Hence the
An
sex and the
alleged
sex
affair.
murder.
an alleged affair, hence the sex and the sex murder trial. And unfortunately, Ada LeBoeuf and Dr. Thomas E. Dreher were hung in a double execution. Hanged? Hung?
Hanged.
Hanged.
Hanged, hung,
Hanged?
hung, hung.
And she was the first white woman to be executed by the state of Louisiana in 1929 under the strict orders of infamous Governor Huey P. Long.
Yeah, and like I said, it's a great example of what I call government by fiat, when the executive can actually exert so much pressure on a local parish
Oh, yeah.
or a state to actually force them to kind of violate their own ideas of due process. Now we turn to Jacob. Let's talk a little bit about what it is you do. Thank you, by the way, Bailey. Good. Sorry, I almost said Bailey. Grace, go ahead, Jacob.
Yeah, so I'm a producer as well as Bailey is. Basically, the producer's job, just in case anyone doesn't know, is basically any there's no excuses in the filmmaking business. It's either it gets done or it doesn't get done. The producer's job is to make sure it gets done, whether that's finding the location or the permits or making sure the food is there to feed the crew. So, and same thing with developing the feature. Obviously, we're not shooting anything yet, but it's find the money, figure out how to do it.
You're in the pre-trip phase.
Yeah,
You're
exactly.
in the and by the way, I want to point out to everybody listening, the majority, just like the majority of truck drivers out there are small business owners, operators, independent drivers. The majority of the movie industry is studios buying products from independent production companies.
Correct.
That is, in many ways, that's the great connective tissue between truck driving and producing movies. There's a lot of connective tissue between truck driving and movies. I don't know if you guys know this. You know that the truck driving for movies is so specialized, they have their own set of rules and regulations, that they don't follow the same rules as the rest of the drivers. They actually have to do paper logs.
Yeah,
that
the
have
Teamsters.
they have to be turned in every single day.
Wow.
They have to turn in your paperwork every single day, and it has to be checked 3 times because they do so much hurry up and waiting as well. All right, Bailey, so you are a producer. What responsibilities are falling to you on this production?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, as Grace and Jacob said, we're all kind of producers. I've been a part of this since this short film, since before that was even shot. So I was the first assistant director, kind of overseeing logistics and scheduling on that. And then I became a producer on that short and then into the feature. Something that they didn't note that has been pretty instrumental and very different from the short film process is Matison had wrote that feature film script and that was already polished, but Jacob and myself and Grace have been, they're helping kind of shape that story and that narrative and ensuring that all the story beats are hitting in the right way and, tackling a script that's 120 pages as opposed to 15 or 20 is a total different animal. So that's been really exciting, and that's kind of what we've been working toward and working on and doing everything in our power, as Jake kind of said, to make it happen, because if we don't, then no one's going to do that. And as much as these studios do buy projects and do buy things, we know that we have to be front-facing and get in front of as many people as possible to make that happen. So that's kind of our goal, and that's our MO, and that's the plan right now with Ada and the doc.
I'm going to say something, maybe it'll land with the 4 of you, and maybe you're like, what are you talking about? Turning a short into a feature-length film, welcome to the joys of solving second-act problems. I mean, that's it right there. I mean,
Correct.
It's like we go back to the trucking analogy. When I'm doing a local trip, it's point A to point B, and I'm done. When I do an over the road trucking, crossing state lines and all of that, there's a lot of things you have to plan for and a lot of things that have to kind of pay off. There's a lot of people that can write openings, and there are even some people that can write things to bring them to a thunderclap. It's keeping people transfixed between, the 35-minute mark and the hour 10 mark is
correct.
where most films live and die.
Yeah.
Is that fair?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the big thing with film and script writing too is just making sure there's no lull in tension, and it's figuring out how to ratchet up tension constantly.
Without it devolving into laughs either, because you
Exactly.
can make things so tense that it's okay. That's ridiculous. That's enough.
So it's always a delicate tightrope walk that you have to do. And the second act also, again, point A to point B. Well, sometimes you get lost in it a little bit, and second acts can be really long. I mean, we're still working on our second act too. I mean, it's definitely great, but it was really long at some points. And
It's got to be though.
Yeah, it's figuring out a way how to just be more efficient. Efficiency is like key for script writing and film in general. It's just how can we combine two scenes to make one more powerful
Can
scene?
I put something in the background? Can an establishing shot take care of that business?
Absolutely.
You guys are going to love this. Trucker Bosun just wrote. He said that was me driving the concrete mixer for Transformers 2. All paper.
Wow.
By the way, so Trucker Bosun did
He's a
that.
star.
Which is really, really groovy and really kind of
Yeah,
fantastic.
we will need transportation services on our film when it goes into production.
Yeah, and of course, Lindsay's got a lot of contacts there. I actually have a lot of contacts in the movie stuff. The music stuff, I don't even know where to begin with that kind of entry ramp there. But it really is. It's about logistics. So let me just kind of ask this, Grace. What do you take care of? I mean, we use the word producer, but producers, it's about delegation of authority.
Correct.
Where do you fall in all of this?
Yeah, so right now with the four of us, we are tackling a lot of tasks and wearing many hats. But right now we're focused on what financing looks like, what a real realistic budget would look like with our script. Like we said, location scouting this weekend. We tag teamed which locations we were heading. Like I made the Franklin contact, and Madison set us up with her uncle, and her Morgan City connection. So it's all about here's what I can do. And we also work 40-hour work week jobs, all of us, as well as doing this. So we probably put 60 hours a week at least into, all of this stuff. So it's definitely about, who can take care of this right now, who is best equipped, who made the best, connection with this person, how can we best facilitate all these tasks that need to be done. The delineation will come further on, especially with production as it gets closer. Like, okay, now this person is going to head marketing. This person is going to head pre-production logistics.
Foreign distribution.
Yeah, absolutely.
Who's making that pay? I'm not asking right now who's making that.
Yeah, we would not have an answer.
That's a secret.
That's a longer that's about as the film starts to actually look like it's got legs, and there's a point of no return, as we all know. Once somebody says action, then somebody usually has made a couple of contacts with foreign distributors, but then been like, okay, so let's now really get this this is actually going to happen. We're going to be out of time here, guys. There's so much more to talk about. I wanted to throw one more to Bailey because he is so, he's not in the room. So I want to make sure that, Bailey, what are you looking at taking care of? What is like really of interest to you? What do you see not the issues, but the challenges moving forward?
Yeah, absolutely. As Grace kind of noted, we are all tackling everything at the same time, and we're doing our best to collaborate and communicate as often as possible. I think the most important thing that we want to do is just create and tell an interesting and amazing and unique story that absolutely deserves to be told. And we're putting, all of our resources into that every single day. After work, we get on meetings and we ensure that either the script's in the right spot or the finances are still moving forward. But I'm just kind of keeping an eye over all the logistics, all the financing, even the distribution, as they're saying, and making sure we don't miss out on an opportunity, because we really care about this story and this project, and we're going to kind of do everything we can in our power to make it happen. We're going to die trying, at least.
Yeah.
So
don't do that.
Yeah,
Please don't do that.
No,
Please don't do that.
Definitely not.
Live to fight another day.
Yeah, not in the plans.
Not in the plans. Really
Exactly.
quickly, Madison, where can people go to find out more about Ada and the Doc and Jimbo Productions?
Yeah, of course. So we're still working on developing like our company's website, and we might even do a rebranding, a rename. We've been exploring that. But as far as the film goes, you can find us on Instagram and Facebook at Ada and the Doc. We are also all on Instagram, our personals. You can find them on the account. We're tagged in all of the photos and everything. We also have an official website. I think it's adaandthedocfilm.com. And you can find all of the nice PR that's been happening for us recently and all of the selections. Up and coming, we are going to be in the Oscar qualifying New Orleans Film Festival, which takes place October 22nd to 24th, I believe. So that's the next big thing that we have coming up. We're really excited about that.
We're really excited about what's happening for you guys as well. Of course, Madison with a T, who you guys know. Grace, Jacob, Bailey, thank you so much for making time with us this morning. I'm really excited for you guys.
Thank you.
But like I said,
Thanks for having us.
I feel like things are headed in the right direction because they're headed there methodically. I know impatience is the great enemy of making a movie.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
But you've also got to kind of harness it as well to kind of keep on driving forward and all that stuff.